Right, we are here with some of the ladies of USA Wrestling, and we're here to discuss and celebrate Black History Month. So we'll go from right to left, and so that means starting with Tamira Mensah. And just tell us who you are and why Black History Month is important to you.
Hi, you guys. My name is Tamira Mensah Stock, and I am a part of the World Team of 2019. And I honestly don't like to I like to celebrate Black History Month every single day because that is who I am. I don't like to point it out in one month, but I greatly appreciate when people start noticing it, and I guess that's why I appreciate Black History Month as a whole. But honestly, I try to celebrate it every single day because that's who I am. I don't change for 1 month and then I go to a different race another. So yeah.
Really? My name's Kelsey Campbell, and I'm part of the senior national team. And I appreciate Black History Month because I feel like anytime you recognize somebody for their history and their culture, I think that's important. And I think recognizing people is just a powerful thing that I don't think we do enough. I think we recognize a lot of aspects about different races for a lot of negative reasons, but this is a month and she's right, it's a month, but it is a time to celebrate those differences. And I think, again, like anytime you can recognize people for their ethnicity, their background, but also just celebrating and including people that are different than you, because we are all connected by this culture and by our ethnicity, but we're all super different, and I think that's what makes it such a great holiday. It's good to celebrate something that connects us all, even when we're so different. So that's why it's important to me.
Hi, my name is Diamond Guilford. I'm a junior national team member. I have been for the last 2 years, and I plan on going very far in my career. I'm an Afro native, and what Black History Month means to me is that it's just a month where I get to just study up on my Black history, feel empowered by the people who have been through the same thing I've gone through, and see how they've succeeded through it, and I can go through it too.
My name is Maya Gabriela Nelson. I'm half Black, half Mexican. I'm a 2017 junior world champion, and I'm currently on the senior national team. Black History Month is, just piggybacking off of what they said, because you're going to hear it a lot, like it's celebrating a culture and a people that feels like it's not so celebrated so often. And obviously, as being a part of that race, you want to be able to celebrate it every single day of your life, and we do, but maybe not everybody just sees the importance as much as, during this month, because it's literally in the name, so.
My name is Erin Golston. I'm a 3-time junior world medalist and multiple-time senior national team member. And Black History Month means a lot to me. It's important. As Mentor said, I don't just focus on this month, but I do have to celebrate it every day. But I think it's great that we have our own month because it brings awareness to how far we come as a country, but how much more we still have to go, And as well as even like on social media, Instagram, like there's this Black history page that I follow, and I'm finding out all these Black inventors, like inventing stoplight, all this medical equipment, and I think it's just great education for everyone. I'm so happy it's focused this month, but I do also wish it was more celebrated every single day.
Hi, my name is Nahila McGee. I'm a world-class athlete program for the Army. Black History Month is more of an opportunity. I feel like we get to reflect a lot throughout the year. You're always reflecting, but it's nice to get the opportunity to reflect on your history, not on just the struggles, but the successes, learning about, all the things that we have accomplished and looking towards what we can accomplish more within our community and ourselves and our society. So I love Black History Month.
Awesome. So moving forward, it's just kind of an open discussion. Just answer as you please. So next, I'm going to go into why should Black History Month be important for people who aren't Black? Who wants to start that one?
First of all, Well, I think first of all, like that's the thing, right? It's you'll be hard pressed to find someone who is just black or who is just white. I mean, most of us are a lot of things, and I think that's why it's important. We're a very blended culture. I know I have a lot of different ethnicities in my background, and I think growing up, I remember being a kid. You know, when you check the box on like your ethnicity, and it was literally like white, black, other, and like European. And I never like I remember being young and like not having a box to check. And I think that's the thing about this month. It's Black History Month, but again, like it's important for all of us to be educated on this because we are all connected and we all have very mixed backgrounds. And maybe if you don't grow up around somebody with a multi-ethnic background, you might know someone that does. I think being educated and having knowledge and just being aware of that, I think is going to help you educate those around you, and it's just going to help you be a more well-rounded person, and it's going to build more inclusive relationships. And I just think for me it's important, I know for me growing up, because I grew up around mostly non-black people, you know, and I think this month is important, and even for me to like speak up and for me to share my background and share like those experiences growing up, I think that helps other people be more aware that it's not so black and white, like, but we all have to kind of speak up, and the opportunity right now, this is the platform to do it. And so I think that's why it's important for us to speak up and why it's important to make people more aware.
Can I also say, I think, you know, especially if there is prejudice towards like Black History Month, right? I think what we fail to talk about is Black history is American history, you know? And I think we separate that so much. I remember growing up in high school, we had history, we had AP history, and then it wasn't even a core class. It could be taken as a extracurricular. It was African American history. So there's so many things growing up that I did not know about Black history, because I feel like we separate it as in like it's not even a part of American history. And I just feel like that is very detrimental to our country, you know, to people growing up. And, you know, I learned more about the Holocaust than I learned about slavery. You know, and I feel like so many times, especially in school, we're trying to bury a history that did happen. Yes, slavery happened. Yes, it was horrible. Yes, many people died. But to try to bury it and never talk about it, that's very dangerous. And I feel like we're seeing the effects of that. You know, everybody says history repeats itself, but I feel like it only repeats itself if we stop talking about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's where a lot of conflict comes in for people who aren't black, why it is so important, because, you know, without being educated, you know, you can end up asking a question wrong or end up offending someone, and it's all because you're not educated in that. And also with that being said though too, within our own community, we have to be okay with people asking offensive questions, because sometimes it's not them being offended, like them trying to offend you, but them trying to educate themselves. So I just feel like it's an opportunity for someone who's not black to learn more, so that, you know, we can stop these kind of conflicts or that are just miscommunications.
And I feel like even, just kind of talking on that, there is times where it is misunderstanding, but there also is times where you know what's right and what's wrong, and what, you know, just some things that you just say to people can be just disrespectful, and you know that. And also, we live in a day and age where, yes, we need to have conversations like this, like we can come together and have conversations like this, but also you can educate yourself online. We literally live in a day and age where we have just everything at the tips of our fingers. So I don't get how people can be ignorant nowadays. It's so easy to be educated, and I just don't understand that side.
I understand why some people can be ignorant, and this is like, I went to Missouri Baptist University, and for anybody who's been there, it's literally 51% black, 49% white. And for the white people who are there, they literally came from very rural, like, they graduated with a class of like 49 people type stuff. But then a lot of black people, we came from much more diverse settings in urban areas where it's like we're in the city and everything. So we're used to like being around other cultures and stuff, right? But when you're in a bubble and you don't have to think about anybody else, then you're never gonna ask those questions. You're never going to. And like the vast majority of people who went to that private school, they never had to ask those questions until their teacher forced them to ask them inside of a framed discussion or in a speech class and such. So yeah, that's why I'm always here to educate, but I'm never that mad at anybody because I don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah. That's true. Piggyback off of that, some people's only knowledge or education of Black history is what they've learned in elementary school. As you kind of stated earlier, that's a lot of times not enough. Because I even think growing up, like you said, I learned more about the Holocaust and slavery. I feel like it was almost just kind of brushed over. And I think, sure, it's tough to talk about, but it is something that needs to be discussed because sure, we've come a long way, as I said earlier, but there's so much more to go in this country.
And then last comment, well, it doesn't have to be last comment.
I think we're done.
Cultural context is everything. That's why I think that people should learn about not only Black history, but also about Native American history, also about the history of like people coming from more Hispanic areas like Mexico, or just like the history of America overall. And what she said earlier about Black history being American history, ooh, it definitely is. Let me tell you, the Civil War of 1865, that's Black history. The Civil Rights Movement that caused a wave of laws to be made, that's Black history. Even us going to World War II and the Tuskegee Airmen coming back, that's the reason why the Civil Rights Movement started, because people saw how their parents came back from war and they were treated like crap. So they wanted a movement, they wanted a change, and then they started Civil Rights Movement. That's Black history, that's American history. So that's why I feel like if you learn more about that, you learn more about America. And then you're a true patriot.
Just gave me goosebumps.
Thank you, Mr. Hess, my U.S. history and P teacher.
Let's move on to role models. Who were some Black role models that you first remember having when you were younger?
Maya Angelou. Harriet Tubman.
Heart of the woman?
Man. No, and then just also artists as well. Like
Definitely
Alicia
artists,
Keys, Beyonce. Like anytime I saw them, I'd be like, yes, look at them. Like even now today, I still look at them. They're all poetic and beautiful, and I love it. Always looking up to them. So that's right off the top of my head. I knew that one.
I think immediately when you asked that question, it kind of made me fall a little bit more into wrestling, and I would definitely say like Iris Smith and Randy Miller, because when I first started wrestling, like they saw my little fro and they were like, "We love your hair," and they took me in, and like they were so nice to me immediately, and it was just nice to see like women that look like me like doing it at the best level and being the best example. So just those women, shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to them. And I feel like they were so underrated wrestlers, right? Like they were amazing. And honestly, I didn't know much about Iris Smith growing up. So when I actually started wrestling, Randy was, the big, name. And seeing her like that, I was like, oh, it was, even though I don't look exactly like Randy, I saw a part of me in her. And that I feel like that's very important to see role models that look like you, that talk like you, that grew up kind of similar to you. I think that's very important because if you can't see yourself in someone, then you can't see yourself doing that. So, for example, like, I feel like if I wanted to be a scientist, I don't really have a scientist that I could just look at right now and be like, yeah, that looks like me. I could be a scientist because she did it. But like, going back to wrestling, Randy was, in the spotlight. I was like, that I can see myself being a champion because I see Randy out here doing big things. And then when I started getting more into USA wrestling, I learned about Iris Smith, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's more. This is crazy.
There's more.
And I think a lot of times, like what you were saying, talking about artists and poets and musicians, I think a lot of times, like as Black women, they're celebrated in those aspects, but when we look on the other aspect of sports, life, but especially sports, like, cause I mean, that's what our lives are surrounded as, like, especially sports, they're not seen in such a bright light as, like, or they used to not be seen as such like a higher light or bright light as these artists as they are in track and tennis and stuff like that, because it's like, well, yeah, they're good at what they do, but they don't look like what a woman's supposed to look like. You know, they don't look as feminine. And I'm like, there's strong women that are teaching us that we can be just as strong as them. And I don't think they're celebrated as often as they should be.
But Serena,
Now she is.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I remember I wanted to be a tennis player growing up because of her. I was like, I want the tennis racket, put me on the court, mommy.
Me and my sister like did tennis for a little bit, and we were always like, okay, I'm Serena this time, and you be me.
Yes.
That's so cute. And I remember they had this line. It was not as expensive as her line now, but they had this line at this specific place. And so me and my sister would get a pink like score, and I would get a blue one. And we like that was a game we played. Like I'm Venus and you're Serena, and we would play doubles, me and my sister. And we were pretty good, but it was just like not something we followed through in. But literally like Venus and Serena, perfect. Like that was something I could look at and be like, oh, I could do that.
Right? Me and my twin were the same way. We were like, let's do it. And then we were like, this is hard.
Gabby Douglas, when she won all of those medals in the Olympics, I was like, oh wait, that's awesome. I could have done that, you know,
right?
Do our role models have to be athletes?
No.
Actually, the artist, right?
Anybody.
The first person I thought of was my dad.
So honestly, my first and most favorite role models I still have today are my parents. Like that's the reason why I have dreads, is because they have dreads, and I just want to be just like them. And for anybody who knows me and knows my parents, we act exactly alike. Yes. But honestly, it was them and seeing Serena Williams up there on the Olympic podium and everything. Her doing the
2012.
Girl, her walking in 2012. I was like, oh my gosh. And being from California, you know California really went off on that. Like it was good. But yeah, just to see her, like growing up, I was always a big girl, and even when I wasn't big, I was just strong. So to see her like with her big hips and her strong arms, and then I'm like, oh, that looks like me. And then it gave me more appreciation for my own body growing up. And you know, if you're, sorry if I'm getting really specific in on myself and where I'm from, but if you're from California and you're raised as a black girl who's outside of LA, you know what it's like to have big hips and nobody else got big hips. They like, look, they checking for you everywhere else in America. Okay, you good. Just leave California.
And piggybacking off of that, like I struggled growing up. Like I was just naturally gifted. Like I was always strong. I always had like some kind of cut on me, you know, my V cut, everything. And girls would look at me like when we would be in the locker room and just go, what is that? I'm like, what is what? That thing on your hip that's like going in. I'm like, a V cut? They made me feel ugly.
Which is crazy because that's like super cool now.
Yeah. Right? It is so accepted now. So like all those athletes that were just strong and powerful, those women, I definitely greatly appreciated it because it helped me like accept who I am. Like it's okay to be strong, y'all. Like we are like black is strong and an African American, you know, is stronger. But that's just me. So I just want to say that.
I just want to say something a little different. I think for me, so my dad also, like I'm obsessed with my dad. He's awesome, and he came here as an immigrant, and he's just such a hard worker, and I just really look up to him. He just has a lot of integrity. He's not a very showy person. You met my dad. He's just very low-key, kind of dry sarcasm. Like if you met him, I would make a lot more sense probably. But I think I say that to say just because I was always lighter skinned, and so like all the women you guys are naming, the men you're naming, like they were my heroes too. But growing up, I really didn't have a lot of people, like even going further that were like light skinned like me, but like weren't white. Like, and so I think it was always different for me, and I was always searching for people that were like kind of mixed. Like I was always looking for mixed people. But I think that's why inclusion was always such a big deal to me, because I always felt like even in the Black History Month and even in the celebrations where we do celebrate this, I still always felt like not totally a part of it because I'm light skinned. And so I think I guess what I want to say about that is that, again, you look at our group and we all are so different, and there's more of us, you know, in the wrestling community, and I think that's why it's so important, even for us, to just be such strong representatives, you know, like, and Serena Williams is awesome. I mean, I had Dominique Dawes growing up, like, that was like before Samoa gymnastics, like, she was like the GOAT, like, so, you know what I mean, like, different generation, but I just think, someone said it before, but I think Erin, you said it, like, we've seen how far we've come, but we do have so much further to go, because I do think that, like, we have to represent everybody, you know, and I think that's what I felt growing up, is that I just personally I wasn't super dark skinned, so I wasn't like, oh, I'm so much like you, I want to be like you. I was always searching for that, and so I feel like in some ways I just need to be that for people, but I think we all need to be that for people.
Yeah.
Can I just say, it's like, because also I'm also mixed, and I'm of lighter skin, and I had different, because I said who I looked up to, and it was like, while I was growing up, I always felt like I had to pick one. Oh, and then in my internal battle was I didn't want to hurt my parents' feelings, because, you know, my mom is Hispanic and my dad is Black, and I never wanted to hurt their feelings, but it always, especially when you talked about checking off the boxes, because now they have, you know, I can check off Black, and then in like a later question it says, are you of Hispanic descent, and I can check that off too. And then with me, I'm like, okay, well, I did it. I did what I needed to do to make sure that my mom and my dad can be shown. And I remember one time a doctor asked me, we were doing like skin folds and stuff like that, and the doctor asked me, what are you? And I was like, I'm Black and Mexican. And she's like, what do you consider yourself more of? And I was like, why would you ask me that? I'm literally half Black, half Mexican. And she was asking me for, you know, bone density, and it's just different with Black people and stuff like that. But that was and I was older then, I was in college, and that was the first time that question was posed to me. But then I realized throughout my whole life, I was always picking a side, you know? And I actually have friends now that I don't ever feel like that, but I do understand that, you know, I was like, if I say I'm Black, then I'm not honoring my mother, but if I say I'm Mexican, you know, a lot of times people are like, you're not Mexican, you have brown skin and curly hair. And I'm like, no, I really am. And so I can see growing up just the conflict of that specific, you know, area.
Not just being one.
So to piggyback a little bit off what Kelsey was saying, what a lot of you guys were saying is that seeing women in elevated positions that look like you was something that really like inspired you. Being that wrestling, women it's rare to find women wrestlers, and even more rare to find Black female wrestlers. Like, what kind of responsibility does that give to you guys in order to be that person that looks like another little girl out there? Maya, I've heard you talk about this before.
Yes,
Totally.
You can start. I think it's just important to put ourselves out there. Like, even with me, it's hard for me to be out on social media 24/7, but I look at it like, I can post one wrestling picture and a little girl might see this, you know? So I think it's just really important to represent ourselves often, and also in the correct way, give them something to look up to, be inspirational.
Yeah.
I like that you said in the correct way, because I feel like as Black women athletes, we do have to be more mindful of that, just because there's so many stigmas with being a Black woman, and especially with us doing an aggressive sport, like we always have to be more mindful of when we pose, how we're representing ourselves.
I think that in a male-dominated sport, it's hard to talk about race without talking about gender, and without, like, it's really hard to like not include those things. And I just say that because it's just very easy to be like, well, this is our representative for the women. But I know for me, before I made like my first Olympic team, my inspiration wasn't like the headliner. She's like sitting right there, actually. Yeah. I won't put her on the spot. But the person that I idolized and looked up to wasn't the person that was always on social media. She wasn't always on the websites and that. So like, you never know. Like, it's like Erin said, like, you never know you might be the person someone's watching, and you may not think that you should be the person they're watching, but you just are. They saw something in you, maybe it was the color of your skin, or the type of hair you have, or your background, or something you said in an interview, or maybe it's because you weren't always a superstar and you rose above, whatever it is. Like, it is so important that we put ourselves out there, and that's something I struggle with because I didn't grow up in a media generation, so like it's something I've had to buy into, but I do it because of that, because it's part of the job. Like, I've been choosing to be an athlete, and I want to inspire people, and I want people to look at me and be like, I can be great because she's great, and she's not like them, but she's still great. I'm not like them, I can still be great, you know? And I think it's just so important. It's not always comfortable, but a lot of Black, African-American, multi-ethnic people of influence before us, they did a lot of uncomfortable things. Randy Miller, Ira Smith, they did a lot of uncomfortable things to pave a path that wasn't there. And so, again, like, I think it's such a cool opportunity for us, you know, to be that person for somebody else.
I love it. This is something that ever since I started wrestling, I wanted to aspire to be the person that a little girl, and even an African American, white, it doesn't matter, like, but specifically just going off of like Afro American, I wanted to be that person that little girl could look up to, because I saw, like, I didn't even know about Randy Miller and Ira Smith. In my wrestling room, in high school, there was like a few Black people, but I was like the most dominant out of the men or the women. I was just that strong person, and I saw that a lot of the people always looked up to me, and I wanted to take it to a newer level. And so now that, like, this day and age, it is a social media, like, ran country, world, whatever. And so I've had to learn to adjust my time and schedule into going on to social media and trying to inspire these people. So, like, when somebody asks for my autograph, I go, you're a little girl I can inspire, but you're also gonna dance for me. That way you can, like, know, like, it's okay to be a fun, loving person and to be strong at the same time. Because a lot of people think that if you're strong, you're brute and mean and whatever. And that's not the case. And I want to be a beauty and a beast. Like, I don't have to choose. And I think, like, being in the spotlight is really inspiring to little girls, and it's just helping me to inspire myself to be a better person than who I am. And, like, I greatly appreciate the spotlight. It took me a minute to get there, but, like, what?
No, it's true.
It is true. But that's also why I want to be a coach, so I can continue to inspire people as well, because it's never done. Even when we're gone, it's never done. Always inspiring people.
Can I get that question again?
Oh, I was just saying, what kind of responsibility do you feel as a Black female in wrestling to inspire others that might look like you, little girls that are hoping to be athletes of, you know?
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, so these women here, they have inspired me at different times of my career, and even as like long ago as, like, when I was 8 years old. I remember I went to Texas, and Clarissa Chun and Takara Montgomery and Randy Miller, they were having a camp. I don't even know how I found it, but going to this camp, I was so inspired by just these people that you don't usually see. Like she said, they weren't always on the cover of the magazine. They weren't always, front and center, but they were my role models. And then as I got to high school, I had the opportunity to have Erin in my corner at Fargo. Yes, and she inspired me to just work harder, and always, hold myself, like she was saying, hold myself to the highest standard that I could and work hard every single day. And even at that point, I didn't even see myself as a role model. And then I missed weight one year at a tournament, and Kelsey picked me up because I was devastated. I'd never missed weight ever before, and Kelsey was there, and she was there to mentor me, and that was a lesson of, you're gonna get knocked down sometimes, but you need to stand up. Like, you can't let these people cry. So, I went out and I had to wrestle, weight above, but it was like, I wouldn't have done that if she wasn't like my, you need to get up, And then as I moved here and I met Tamira, and she was all about at this point, she was like grown, and she was always, about inspiring other women. And this was around the time, you know, there was a time in my life where I didn't like my hair, right? And the hair is like big for me. I braid everybody's hair on the team, and that's just who I am. And I remember at this time I was just starting to love my hair, and that's also around the time when I started letting my hair out. And I remember, I think I saw something on the internet, and it was another girl, and her hair was out. She was like a high schooler, and I was like, what? Like no one had ever wore their hair out, and I felt like, for me, I was like, oh, this is a movement that I can do. Like a little girl's out there with curly hair, and she can see me and be like, okay, I can do that, because that's a curly haired girl that I see. And you know, it's great and all if people do like my hair, but Tracy Ellis said this inspirational quote, Tracy Ellis Ross, and she was talking about hair, and she's like, I only want you to love my hair if it makes you love yours more. So that's like just something, that's just something, and I know like people don't see hair as a big thing, you know, I feel like especially when you're growing up, you're just like, oh, it's just on my head or whatever, but you know, there's a lot of stigma around hair, you know, if it's puffy and it's unruly, you know, you can be called nappy-headed and it's seen as a negative connotation, but I think so many people like are put down because of the texture of their hair, the way they look, or especially growing up in the 2000s, straight hair, skinny girls, that was the look, and many of us didn't have that look. So if I could just be that one person to just tell you like to love yourself, even if it just starts with something as little as your hair, then be that.
Yeah. I know we're on a little bit of a time constraint for Nahila, so I'll just end with this one, and we can start with you. What has been a defining moment for you as a Black female?
You're not going to come back.
Okay, we'll come back to you. All right.
Sorry. One defining moment for me was just graduating college. I've always been someone that enjoyed school, like studying all of it. But I think I was just grateful to have the opportunity to go to college. I feel like there are times, and often I feel like we're almost set up sometimes not to reach that success. But I was happy. I mean, I come from a family that has multiple degrees, so I thought it was really important for me just to get that degree in school. So that's the most defining moment for me.
Yeah, for me, piggyback off of that, I thought that was also my defining moment, and then when I won world championships and I saw that the only other Black person who do it was Iris Smith, and I thought that was super cool. Like, I'm on this wall, and now I can look at, sorry, but yeah, like now I can look at myself and go, wow, I'm going to be able to inspire a whole bunch of people to be a world champion. And so like at first it was like when I graduated college, I was like, yes, I cannot believe I did this. Like one of 3 people in my family to do it. And now that I'm a world champion, African American world champion, like female, like a lot of females, first of all, have not even like been world champions in America. And for me to be a Black person to do it, I thought that was like the most inspiring thing. And like these girls are always like, Tamara, you're just saying that because you're a world champion, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. I'm still the same person. Like I'm still like trying to inspire you guys, still trying to love on you guys. You tell me how to be better, love on myself better, all that. But like that, I feel honestly like that was definitely like an inspiring moment. And it would have been wrong of me not to say it too.
Yeah,
It really was.
Yeah, I understand.
My most inspiring moment for me was actually going to university. Growing up, I lived in Lancaster, California, and I was a bubble baby. So basically, I just stayed in my house, went to school, went back to my house for like 17 years straight. So I didn't really understand the world. I had a very optimistic view of it, which I still kind of do, but now it's a more realistic, optimistic view. And when I went there, first of all, going from California to Missouri is a culture shock within itself. California overall is very secular, very laid back, chill. We love everybody. Missouri, I'm gonna call you out right now. Y'all is divided. Missouri is divided. And as I said earlier, Missouri Baptist is a little private school, and it's 51% Black, 49% white, and little statistics in there. But to go there and just to see how people reacted to how I was, like they had never, literally people would tell me they had never seen the Black girl who would go up to both the Black group and the white group and like just conversate with them as if they were just all human. And And it was and like as people got to know me, like at first their first reaction was like, oh, this is weird, but then they just got to know that this is Diamond. This is how she is. So, but it was shocking to me to see that, oh, people are actually weird that like I'm a really cool black girl who's just going up to them and talking to them in this different context and such. So just to get that reality shock of like life, that was a really impactful moment for me as a black person in America. And it just taught me how to really conduct myself in both spheres. I can still be black in a white setting and still be very black in a black setting, obviously. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I got from me.
That made me okay. That brought me back. So I feel like the defining moment for me was to continue wrestling because around last year around this time my mom had passed and I was ready to hang up the shoes. Like there was gonna be no more wrestling. It's like the light kind of like just died out. But you know, going into WCAP and just having that family around me, and even with these girls too, like I've talked to them about it, and them just being able to relate to their situation and motivate me and inspire me to keep going and keep pushing. You know, that meant a lot because my mom, like, she held it down better than gravity could ever do. So, you know, to have these other women and have WCAP hold me down at like the hardest time in my life thus far, and to keep me going and to keep me wrestling, like that, I feel like that showed how much strength my mom taught me to have and the person that I'm growing to be to have. So that was
I just realized I keep saying that Missouri Baptist University was 51% black and 42% white, but I actually meant the city of St. Louis is. But remember that cultural context impacted how Missouri Baptist University, who they recruited, like how everything was there.
I would just like to say, like, we all have like different defining moments in our life. Like, it's not just like when somebody wins a world championship or like somebody dies in your life. Like, it doesn't have to be like those huge things that, yeah, like I remember like a defining moment. Like, I have like 500 defining moments. Like, going back off of what Maya said, Kelsey came up to me after one world team trials after I had lost, and like she came up to me, she's like, Tamara, you wrestled great out there. Like, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna become better. And I was like crying in the corner, like hands like down. I remember that. Like, that is a define. Like, I will never 63. Yeah. I was going 63. I had been cutting like right for a month. Yeah, and like that to me, like that's a defining moment. And it does. So like I said, it doesn't have to be when you win a world championship. Because like I've had multiple men die in my life. Like first my dad, then my grandpa, my uncle, all black men that always inspired me. My best friend, my teammate, like they have all passed. And like, yes, those are defining moments, but you guys, you have to realize like it doesn't have to be as serious as that. Like Kelsey inspired me. I remember when Maya had said, Tamara, your hair is beautiful. And I'm like, these things, like these little puff balls, like they don't even like get as big as yours. And she's like, that's okay. It's your hair. And like, I just remember like these tiny things that everybody has done in my life. And that has collectively like gathered in my heart as a whole, and that has just been a defining moment to lead to that moment on the wall and to carry on and to lead into other big moments in my life. But it doesn't have to be huge. Like, I just wanted to point that out. It can be something as small as a conversation, like a 5-minute conversation, and that can make a huge impact.
And with that being said, I've been kind of quiet on this question because I don't even know if, like, there's been defining moments in my life, I feel like, but I can't even think of one specific one that I can just pinpoint. Yeah, that's in front of everyone that's like, oh yeah, this is my defining moment. So, you know, if you ever feel lost, just know sometimes that's me too. And I feel like most of my defining moments have been after I'm in my room by myself, you know, crying, and, you know, I have to pick myself up, wipe my tears off, and make sure nobody else knows what's going on with me, because at the time, like in that moment, it's like, for me, this is big and this is something that's probably breaking my heart, but me getting up and, you know, but dusting myself off has been more defining than me getting in front of a group of people and, you know, winning a world championship in, you know, in 2017. And obviously I'm proud of that, but I don't see it as a defining moment because there's been so many of those moments like behind closed doors that, you know, that you don't see on social media, that you don't see in front of the camera. That's all I want to say. You don't have to know where you are in life or where you're going, you know, just to be successful. Like, you just gotta go. You just have to pick yourself up and go.
I agree, 100%.
Every day.
She ain't lying. Ooh, she ain't lying.
All right, well, unless anybody has anything else to say, I want to thank you ladies for chiming in and allowing us to have this kind of discussion and to celebrate Black History Month and just keep being role models.
Thanks for watching!
And you're beautiful.
Yes, you're beautiful.